Everybody, welcome to our fancy episode of the podcast. We're here to talk about drinking Star Trek wine because Wines That Rock was kind enough to reach out to us. Spencer Brewer from Wines That Rock reached out on Facebook and asked if we would want to review some of the Star Trek themed wine that they've got going for the new Picard series. So we have a special guest. Clay is here as always. Clay, how are you?
I'm good. I felt like we finally made it because we've gotten free stuff and asked to review it. And I'm just going to say right now, it's great. I haven't tried it yet, but you know, if this influences anybody in the future to send us stuff, it's great.
There is a tremendous amount of strings attached to this, but the wine is fantastic as always. All right, so we actually had no strings attached. We'll see how it goes. We'll try to give our most honest opinion, although we'll get into why sometimes maybe our opinions here won't line up. But to get an expert opinion, we have Sean. Sean, how are you?
Good. I'm glad that my friendship with you finally paid off, and I finally get to have some special movie wine.
I'm glad I can return the favor.
Yeah.
And this we should mention that this is actually the first. We are all here in person. This is the first time Sean and Wes have ever met. So it was like you know those videos online where like the lion comes running down and you don't know what's going to happen, and they like hug. That's what it was like. It was like one of those zoo lion videos.
Oh. Who gets to be the lion? Who's the lemur?
That's or, the warthog, and what the hell's the other guy in the Lion King?
It was like the end of Die Hard when John McClane finally meets Al.
Oh yeah, Oh yeah, the bromance. Yeah. I'm glad to be back with you guys. I used to do more podcasts with you, but I just got swamped with work and writing and drawing Batman. So I am not an expert in wine. I'm going to sound like I am, but really not. I did a lot of my research last night.
I can't wait to hear the actual experts in wine.
When the YouTube wine community shows up and is like, I don't know what the fuck was going on in this podcast. Yeah, give us a breakdown, what you learned, what you think about these things, and what we're doing. So we're going to start with the Special Reserve, which is what they call. I'll put a picture up on the YouTube video. It's the more angular bottle.
Yeah, this is the sci-fi bottle. Picard is from a town in France called Le Bar, which is on the east side of France. The wine that we have here is from the west side of France. It's from Chateau Picard. It's an actual chateau. I think that people have been showing up at Chateau Picard, Trekkies all over the world, for decades now, bothering this poor family who probably has never seen Star Trek in their life. And, you know, people are asking, like, where would the fight have taken place? With John Picard and his brother, or where did this happen? Where do you think his brother's buried, or whatever,
Where's the house?
Where's the house? One of these is from that region. It's a $60 bottle online. You can get it, if you buy a case, you can probably get it shipped to you. Bordeaux, for people that don't know anything about wine, it's usually like a deeper red, sort of darker, fruitier type of wine. It's not a light wine. It's not too sweet either. Most restaurants carry a Bordeaux. And the second bottle is like the Special Reserve, which is the sort of special sci-fi shapely one that says, say here, Old Vin Zinfandel. This is from Sonoma County. This is a Pinot Noir, I think, and it's I would imagine that the company works with this vineyard, gets wine and slaps labels on it, does custom bottles. Like we mentioned before that they did one for Motorhead, and I have a Motorhead
wine bottle up on my shelf.
And Motorhead fans are very much known for their taste in fine wine. I think
so, yes. I couldn't get my hand on the White Snake wine, but that also does exist.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Is it a white wine? It better be.
It's actually, I don't think it is.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's
So we have those two. I tried to take the metal off the top without destroying it because I feel like this bottle is going to be worth something.
Yeah, you did a good job. It's clean. There'll be a video probably on my Twitter feed. I don't think it'll make it to YouTube, but you guys can check out Sean actually opening the bottle. Did a good job.
Thanks.
Didn't destroy the cork.
I'm going to pour it now so it has a chance to open up.
And what are the two? You brought some wines with you as well, right?
So I brought, because Picard was not from the west coast of France, I bought wine from his region. Let me just finish pouring these so I don't fuck up my facts here.
And neither of them are red wine, interestingly. You have like the rosé,
right,
I think, and then you have just the white one.
So Le Bar is between two wine regions. Sorry?
He played Geordie.
That's who that is?
Yeah, LeVar Burton.
Man. So Picard is from
wine facts.
He's from a region called Jura and another region called, I can't pronounce it right, Alsace.
Yeah,
Alsace.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Alsace is probably closer to Labar, but it's so close to Germany that this is actually more of a German wine, and it's mostly red wine from this region.
Really?
I'm not a big fan of German wine. Some people are. I think it's terrible, but we can try this later.
Yeah.
So this is probably, as far as I know, Picard's family specialized in red wine, but I don't know why I think that. You guys have any idea?
I think that's because what most people think wine is just red.
Well, it matches the uniform.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's the only reason he went into Starfleet, because he loved the color.
Right.
I don't think you ever. No, I think they do pour wine in
Yes.
the family episode, and it's red, I think.
And
so.
he shares it when the First Contact episode, where Picard is meeting this president of this new planet. He shares a bottle of his family's wine, and I think it's red.
It's red, yeah. Red
But
shows better on camera.
Yeah, definitely.
But that would be incorrect, because if Picard was from this region, they mostly do whites.
Oh,
Interesting.
interesting. All right.
So that second choice, the other region, is called Jura, Jura, and I was only able to find a rosé. They do make red wine. They do French Pinot Noirs there. So if I had a French Pinot Noir from Jura, that would be more appropriate. But it's really hard to come by.
All right.
So you're not just gonna listen to us drink wine, as exciting as that
That's
would be.
all I'm
But
gonna do.
We figured we would also kind of shoot the shit about the Picard show.
Yep.
Which is why we're here also, because I know Sean, you've been looking forward to it quite a bit.
I had a pitch to IDW that got rejected because I think it's too close
Yeah.
to the show, and I had no idea what the show was about.
Yeah. So we'd love to hear what your thoughts about what you're
Should we have a
looking
sip
forward to. Sure.
Yeah.
first? You guys, here's a congratulations to your podcast.
Thank you.
I mean, when CBS contacted you, I
I'm
imagine
far
that
away,
was-
but I'll try. Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you swirl,
swirl it.
smell it.
And
Yeah.
I would just like to let everybody know that this is not a taster of wine we've been poured. We've each been poured a full glass of wine.
Oh, is it? Oh shit, you're right. Sorry, I have a heavy hand.
Well, I'll go easy on the next one. The wife and kids have to be picked up from the museum.
So the rule is, anytime you taste a new alcoholic beverage, you do 3 sips. First sip gets whatever the hell is in your mouth out of your mouth. Second sip is you're tasting the liquid for the first time, really. Third sip, you confirm what you thought you tasted in the second sip. So in beer, whatever you guys drink, 3 sips always. If you really want to know what you think about something, try it 3 times.
All right. Do you want my uninformed opinion about this wine? And then you can
I
correct me.
see you only took 2 sips so far.
Take the third here. Like pips on a uniform. This is the Pinot, right?
That is not a Pinot Noir. It is a mix of
The
80.
blend of something.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, it is a Pinot.
Yeah, and the
Getting
other one's the
mixed up.
Bordeaux. So, I don't drink a lot of Pinot. I don't drink a lot of wine. This is. I would say this is good. I'm surprised by how light and flavor it is at the front, and then it kind of hits you after that. But
Yeah.
it's not sweet. I wouldn't really call it fruity.
Yeah.
But it's very subtle, I guess would be the way I would describe it. Smooth, I think I would call it.
Yeah, there's not a huge bite to it.
Yeah.
But the only thing that I know about wine is that the only thing I really know that I like is a Shiraz,
Okay.
and which is usually a nice darker red.
Yeah.
With a little bit of bite to it, a little kind
Knowing-
of spicy.
Because I know you like darker beers and you can do scotches and whiskeys. I'm not surprised that you like darker wines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is definitely something that I would drink this.
Yeah.
I would order this.
Yeah.
It is very middle of the road, which feels like that's probably by design.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah. Most people like Pinot Noir. If anybody's seen the movie Sideways, that's the one that Paul Giamatti is all into because it's such a delicate grape. And at night, the cold air from the ocean, blah, 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 blah. That's Pinot Noir.
It thematically fits with a love story about finding your way in the world.
Like any noobs to wine, you could probably drink a Pinot Noir and be happy. I think this is really good, actually. The best Pinot Noirs in this country actually come from Oregon. So Northern California is good. It's fine. I mean, they have contracts to deal with, and this company that has thousands of bottles all at once. Like they probably get what they try to get what they can.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, for a stunt wine, this is really fucking good.
What would you say you dislike about wine? I'm trying to think about like when I get a glass of wine that I don't really like. I'm kind of having a hard time picturing what I wouldn't like out of it now, but you probably have a better idea.
I think a cheap alcohol burny flavor is usually the sign of a bad wine.
Yeah.
If it's mostly
Hits you in the
burning
nose.
you, yeah.
Yeah.
That's not what I like anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I tend to not like the sweeter wines, which the whites, in my opinion, tend to go that way.
Yeah, I agree.
My mother-in-law and mother drink white wine.
Yeah.
Usually they tend to prefer, like, women seem to tend to prefer whites.
Whoa!
I was gonna bring that up too. Actually,
Whoa!
Is that
come on?
Is that like scientifically backed up? Or
we haven't even finished one glass of wine, and it's already women only drink white wine. And another thing.
Well, so
my mother-in-law.
The wine from Jura is a rosé, and rosé gets a really bad name because we all have moms who used to drink boxed rosé out of the fridge in the 80s.
Yeah. It is a fairly cliche wine,
right?
Yes.
And if you went to college, a box of wine is a big.
I've been told that rosé gets a bad rap. I think rosé still sucks, maybe because I don't get along with my mom.
Is rosé not white and red wine mixed together? Is that how they do it?
Someone
told me that once, and it's very possible that's a lie.
It could be that, or I think they mix. Yeah, some of it's
like
a mix. Sometimes
like a blend, whiskey blend, sort of.
That, yeah, it's definitely a blend.
Because they're usually light. It must be much. If they do blend it like that, it must be much more red wine than a white wine to get that kind of color out of it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I know even with red wine, if they remove the skin off the grapes, it looks like white wine. So the red and red wine comes from the skin itself.
No kidding.
So it could be misleading. I don't know who actually does that,
I was told once that if you're sipping wine, you want to do this with it?
Chew gum first? Yes. Yeah, you want to breathe through your teeth.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to aerate the wine. Like any bad wine, you can put it in a blender and spin it out and just aerate it, and it's going to taste a lot better.
Really?
It's a little bit uncouth, but you can do that.
That's fairly trashy. Yeah.
And what you just did is fine. I mean, at tastings, you'll spit it out into a bucket. It gets pretty gross, you know. But if you're at a restaurant, you might not want to do that.
Yeah. Well, at least not when anyone's watching.
Yeah, I'd give this I like this one.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of surprised a little bit. It's better than I was expecting.
Yeah.
When it came to me. I was going into this thinking they must have gotten like bottom of the barrel.
No.
This is the stuff that didn't sell 2 years ago, so let's sell it to this CBS deal.
Stick your tongue out.
My teeth.
Okay.
I've also been stained.
Yeah, not really.
My teeth are going to get real purple.
I've also been told that the darker your tongue turns, the less quality the wine is. So like low quality wine stains your tongue. But that could be a lie.
I find that to be real. My teeth are going to get real purple, like distractingly purple after this, and it must just be genetics. I can't imagine it because it happens with Trader Joe's $2 chuck, and it happens with Picard wine.
So if you want to impress your date, what you do is you tip your glass sideways and then tip it back up, and you'll see the wine on the side of the glass start dripping. They call those drips
to the side, sort of.
Yeah, they call those drips legs. So if a wine has really long legs, it means it's a thicker, syrupy wine that'll do that. If it's a really watered down, watery wine, and some wines are designed to do that, you won't see many legs. Mm-hmm. That'll blow your date away. Guarantee blowjobs.
I don't.
Of course, she'll be drinking white wine.
And you didn't bother to ask what her job is because she works at a winery.
2 bottles of rosé later. Yeah, so I see this as not really clinging, although maybe it's all relative, and I don't know.
It says it's hard with these amazing glasses that Clay has provided us.
Hey, they're real wine glasses. What do you want?
The dustiest wine bottle opener I've ever seen.
I rinsed it out.
The dust is from East Africa that we brought here to compliment.
The dust is from the correct region.
So I should have poured you a little bit less. Do you want to?
No, we'll freshen. Yeah, we'll freshen up. That's probably as much as I'll drink of that one, especially if we're going to taste the rest of them.
We'll do. Do you want to pour these into the same glass and just hit it later?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Which is something you should not do, but we're just going to do it here. So I'll take the rest of it. None of us.
He's got that. Johnny's going to mix everything together, and this, now we have a humongous glass of wine, and I think that's.
I think what just happened is Sean just took our wine. Yeah, you guys don't want to finish that, right? I'll just put it in my glass.
This is a little roadie for the road. I put this in a Ziploc bag and kind of me. Well, I guess I can go through that story. So, Spencer just reached out on Facebook and said if we wanted to review these wines, and it's much appreciated. I guess that means that the podcast is kind of going places, so we have at least one person who's dedicatedly bringing up the fact that there is a Star Trek podcast that can do this.
Yeah, I hope it wasn't just one person spamming their inbox, telling them to send us stuff.
Listener Kyle, I know it's you.
And if it was one person spamming their inbox, telling them to send us stuff, it was not me.
We've got these things. They came via the mailman, and the mailman gave me a sort of weird warning when he delivered it. He said, "This box is pretty banged up. I don't know how well the thing is inside." But it wasn't red colored, so I figured it was fine, and it turned out to be totally fine. So now we're moving on to the Chateau Picard story here, which is the Bordeaux this is Eastern France, right? Did we get that right? His chateau is from East France.
Yep, that's correct.
And he's from, in the story, in the Star Trek universe, he's from Western.
Yeah,
France.
If France is a giant square, then Picard is almost in Germany on the east side of the country, and Bordeaux is on the Atlantic. This wine is, I think, 85%. It doesn't say on the bottle. I looked it up earlier. And 10% Merlot, but it's 80%, 85% something else. This is the stuff that they sell all the time. You can get, it won't have this exact label on it with the Picard quote on the back of it. But anybody can buy this online for, I think, about $60.
If you guys aren't, if you're just listening and you're not looking at the video, it is the label that's on the trailer. I think when he's boxing the wine is what they've stuck onto it. So yeah, it's the canon version of the wine. So now we're sipping this for a third time.
This one has a much stronger smell.
Yeah, it smells a lot tighter than the first one.
Yeah.
Some of these words wine people use are ridiculous. I'm going to use some. I don't actually know what they mean.
A tight smell.
It's like when you're describing sound, sort of like everything is either warm or not warm when you're describing sound, and this is the same way.
I've been recording stuff and looking up, effects and whatnot. It took me a long time to figure out what the difference between wet and dry was. It's like, you're going to want a really wet signal. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, the mix of effects and non-effects and your wet and dry mix. So we're drinking this now. Mm-hmm. I'll go to early. I don't like this one as much as the first one.
Same.
I think this one is harsher.
It's it's got more. I don't know if it's bitter, but it's
a bit more sour.
Yeah, it has a sourness to it. Yeah.
It's a bit more sour on the front end. The back end is good, but it leaves you quicker. Like one of the things when you drink alcohol is you pay attention to how long you can still taste it after you've swallowed. Yeah. In the back end, if it leaves you quicker, it means that there's not much flavor lasting in your mouth. I think that the Pinot Noir is more fruity and more.
Would you say this one leaves you quicker? I would say this one. Well, maybe it does. I feel like I can smell this one for longer than the other one or something.
Yeah. Way more aromatic, this one. Yeah. I think that a wine connoisseur would probably say this is the better wine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to drink a lot of this. Would be the difference. I like the other one for drinking, like with dinner or something. Yeah. This would probably pair better with food, I would suppose. But
that's true. If it's more of a table wine. Yeah, I have a friend who does this, and he's going to listen to this and just lose his shit because I'm not getting anything right. Mispronouncing all these things. Women can drink reds.
Yeah, this one to me is just, I guess I would call it like spicier or something, but it's certainly more sour than the other one is. Harder to drink, I think, just by itself.
It might just need to open up. I'm going to keep mine and pour a little bit more. I'm going to let it open up a bit more and try it again at the end of the podcast.
I don't think it's bad, though. I think when I took my first sip, I must have had the taste from the original wine still in it. It's kind of going away.
Did you take 3 sips?
I did, and it did start to improve as it went along. But I think the mix was what was hitting me first, and I don't think that really worked as well. But it's not. Yeah, it's not bad in the way that I typically expect a bad wine to taste. So I don't think it's a bad wine, but I think it's.
Yeah.
I personally would just drink the other one. I think if I were to get another glass of it.
Taste aside, and wine quality aside, I think the presentation of both of these is great.
Yeah.
Yep.
The Special Reserve bottle is fantastic. It's not a normal wine bottle. It's a bit more angular, kind of like something you might see on the show.
Yeah.
Looks like hard alcohol bottle.
Yeah,
even
kind of.
The cork is branded with the Star Trek logo on 4 sides.
It's got the the Starfleet logo on the top there. Yeah, it's really well done. And I think it's a good balance between the two of them, that they have the one that's the more futuristic looking, and then the other one that looks like it came right from the vineyard.
It's interesting because they could have done this and just sent you Chateau Picard with a new label on it, but they went with 2.
That's what I was expecting. Yeah, and when he sent it, he's like, "We'll send you some samples," and I was like, "Oh, they probably send you like little those little like
Right.
nips of wine or something
Yeah.
that they send out. But now they get the whole thing.
These are released as a set according to this website, and they were all sold out. When
We have
this
some
article
listeners
was
who've
written.
bought them because they posted pictures because
Okay.
they got them before we got ours.
okay.
But yeah, so yeah, they do apparently sell them as a set. I don't know did you know what they cost as a set?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Again, we got them for free.
Yeah, it's weird.
Take
Stuff
it with a
like
grain of
this.
salt.
You wonder like what the bottles will be worth. So my friend owns a comic shop, and he gets old action figures that are still on card, meaning in the box.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more special if they're unopened. More special if they're unpunched, meaning the top of the cardboard that has a hole in it that goes on the rack. If that's not punched, it's worth more.
Doesn't that just mean stolen out of the back of the truck, basically? Like,
Generally, excuse me, I'm coughing. I can't believe that people wouldn't open action figures.
or
Yeah,
just
that, or unpunch it.
Yeah, they wouldn't punch
Right.
it on the Walmart
Or-
hanger or something.
Yeah.
Another one is called tissue fresh. So if you open up a case and the tissue paper is woven in between each action figure, so none of the plastic's touching any of the other plastic, that is like the best condition you can possibly find.
What if it's still on the card, but the plastic is like a nice yellow color now,
But that means it's been in the sun. That's worth less.
and the punch is actually broken and has been like repaired with one of those plastic punches? Is that like that's good, right? That's a
I don't
Just
know.
just took my caulking gun and just filled that hole right in there. and
yeah.
It's good as new.
Do you think Star Trek people are wine people?
No. Well,
I don't know. That's a good question.
what percentage of the population would you say is wine people in the first place?
We'll go with adults who go out to eat to restaurants, right?
Yeah.
To people with a standard salary and maybe higher. I think that they all like red wine on Thanksgiving and
Yep.
parties or whatever. All those women like the white wine, right, Wes?
That's right. That's exactly right. And I know from my brother-in-law sells wine, and that business has actually surprisingly been impacted by marijuana legalization. Interestingly. So I don't think it's like it's not like the beer market or something where it's just like Budweiser's just going to like churn these things out. Like the wine industry seems like it's more impacted by other changes that can go along. Like you don't just have the steady base of consumers who are going to buy the thing all the time. But I would guess maybe like 10% of the population actively drinks wine, to the point where I'd be like, that's a person who drinks wine.
Oh,
You know
like
what I
someone
mean?
who is more than just
Ordering it just because everyone else is drinking it.
like
or
they have an
something like
opinion on wine.
Yeah.
Right. When they actually look at the menu and okay, that's fair.
that. Or they go
10%.
home at night, not even out to a restaurant, and they will buy a bottle of wine as opposed to
Oh.
something else. Like my parents do that. I would consider them wine drinkers, but
Right.
I don't think many people of our, even when my wife and stuff were going to college, I feel like she drank more wine in college than she does
Right.
now as on her
Yeah,
own.
yeah. Well, I mean,
Well, she's
you
a
know,
responsible adult, and you have a podcast. So.
This is where we
Star
smash
Trek.
cut to her and the kids standing out in the cold because the museum's closed as
Yeah.
I'm downing my bottle of wine.
Yeah, I think I'm in a wine bubble. Being when I was in New York, wine is a thing, and I had friends who were in distribution and cared about it. One of them is an assistant for Anthony Bourdain, so they all knew way more about wine than I did. But yeah, 10% sounds low to me, but maybe I don't know.
Yeah, because I'd put beer drinkers at
Yeah,
50%
Yeah.
probably, maybe for like population wise. I just think it's much more than beer drinkers, but I don't really know.
You think so?
Yeah.
You think there's more wine drinkers than beer
No, I
drinkers?
think there's more beer.
Oh,
many
okay.
more beer
Yes, yes,
drinkers
yeah.
than there are wine
Yeah.
drinkers.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
not
So
there's
if you
not
went-
90 wineries in Maine right now.
No,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Well, if you went to a grocery store and you could figure out how many customers were buying wine and compared to how much they spent of their overall total, you might be able to get a good number of per community.
Yeah.
I would think that maybe 20% of people at least drink wine.
Yeah, it could be fair, something like that.
I wouldn't consider myself a wine person in that, like, I
Right.
would choose it, but I will go out and buy a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
I just, because
So
I feel like having wine.
What made me think of this question is I remember working in comics and going to conventions. After the show, everyone's getting drunk, and most people are drinking beer. And then, you started to see like a microbrews, the specialty beer market, which has been around for a while now. And I remember when I ordered a glass of wine, people like made fun of me, and they were joking around. They're like, "Oh, Mr. Wine with his fancy red glass." Like I didn't know ordering a cheap bottle of wine, cheap glass of wine, made me some kind of snob or whatever.
You're trying too hard.
Yeah.
It's a glass on top of a literal pedestal.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're kind of making a statement.
I guess I didn't know, man.
You know why it's better than beer, actually, in my opinion, about like just because the amount you need to drink is reduced.
Pour water and rinse it out so we can do the next while you're talking. Sorry, Wes.
I just think that if I were to start over, I'd probably drink wine over beer just because you have to have less intake of it.
Yeah.
Like, I think it is hard to kind of go to like the football game with your bottle of wine and crack it open in the stands or something like that. But,
right. Speak for yourself.
Bring your custom aerator that doubles as a grill.
Yeah.
Just for like in the way that like hard liquor can sometimes seem too intense. Like I'm way too old for shots really at this point, unless it's some sort of bizarre situation that
like
I find
Star
myself
Trek
in.
shot.
Yeah, like or if I'm at the convention and someone buys me a Star Trek shot. But I think wine is that nice middle ground where you don't have to drink 6 of them to feel something. You have a glass of wine at night and be like, I'm okay, I guess.
Yeah,
at this point.
the amount of liquid to take in a pint of beer is like just carrying all that liquid around. And by the end of the night, you look in the mirror in the bathroom, your face is flushed. Wine gives you more alcohol per, than beer does. But I guess, I guess with comics, people, like, we're a low rent community. Most people can only afford beer, and this is sort of what they get used to. I have a friend who helped develop Ninja Turtles, and I asked him once about selling art, and he's like, Ninja Turtle collectors don't have money. And I thought that was a really interesting thing to say. And I'm like, you kidding me? There isn't some like tech billionaire who's not like a massive Leonardo fan who wouldn't pay you $100,000 for your cover?
Come on,
Sean.
If he was a tech billionaire, he would be a Donatello fan.
Shit, we can edit this out, right?
No,
Michelangelo party.
So he knew like there's something about Ninja Turtle collectors. Even as they grow older, they just don't accumulate money to spend on expensive things, according to him. And it made me think about Star Trek people. And I know a lot of like real scientists who are really looking for things out there. You see them on History Channel, and I don't know how much that money they have, but there are sophisticated people out there who seem to really love wine. And Star Trek people seem to be sophisticated. If you're not sophisticated, you like Star Wars.
Yeah. Well.
Oh boy. Jeez. Two glasses in, and Wes is making comments about what women drink, and Sean's starting fights over Star Wars and Star Trek.
I don't know any adult Ninja Turtle fans.
Right.
Is that the problem? Like, do they just skew because it's such a kid-friendly idea?
I think probably, yeah.
Now they get the action figures for their kids, I think.
Well, not to turn this into a Ninja Turtle podcast, but
I think you need to say something offensive now.
No, I think it's just the nature of the property. It doesn't scale up age-wise so much. And when you try to, it gets weird.
That's true.
Then it gets dark and kind of,
I could borderline bring up Star Wars at work, but if I started talking about Ninja Turtles, people are like, clean your fucking desk.
Yeah. Like Star Trek is some, not ironically, Star Trek probably shouldn't appeal to as young a people as it probably does, at least it has in the past. Because it is a little bit more heady, even though it is a show about flying through space and shooting stuff with lasers.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more heady than your basic episode of Ninja Turtles where they're trying to find a pizza and fight Bebop over the pizza or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it has a more of a it makes sense that it would last with people longer.
Right.
So I think people probably just age out of Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, with Star Trek, there's a lot of deeper themes there that stay with you your whole life. Like, I still think about, that episode that kind of applies to this thing I saw on the news today.
Yeah.
And the original series fans are still around. Yeah. Like they're sort of skewing the age up a little bit.
Yeah.
Because they're hanging out and doing their stuff.
I'm looking around my office here, and I have a lot of stuff based on stuff that I enjoy. And I have 2 Ninja Turtle things. And they're very specific action figures from the first live action movie.
Right.
And I was a big Ninja Turtles fan when I was a kid, and that's just it.
That's true. Yeah, maybe my friend, I used to tell him, well, people age out of Turtles, whereas Star Trek or Star Wars, it sort of stays with you for longer.
Always looking towards the stars.
Yeah.
What would be the wealthiest fan? I guess now that you bring it up, I think Star Trek's fan base is probably fairly high.
As soon as this podcast gets a bottle of wine in front of it, we're like, let's talk about the poor people who like Star Trek now that we've got this rich wine in front of us to look down upon them with.
For the rest of the podcast, I'd like to review my investment portfolio, if you guys don't mind. I'm heavily investing in...
Where's the butler? I don't want to pour this all myself.
So this is the next one. This is one of Sean's that he brought.
Pour water in that, Wes, and rinse it out.
That bottle.
This is a Riesling. It's from the Alsace region of France. It's called Marcel Hugg, Hugg. There might be a French way of saying that. I'm probably butchering it. But anyway, this is where Picard probably would be from, closer to his region, which is not too far from the border with Germany. I don't know if anybody likes German wine.
I didn't know Germany made wine. I guess everywhere makes wine.
They're known for their beer. That's what you should get when you're in Germany.
Beer sort of fits the German outlook on life, I think, more than wine does. Wine is a very French outlook on life, and I think the Germans have more of a tankard of beer.
This isn't awful.
I know. I don't hate this.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that.
Sorry, pass that over to you, Sean.
Oh, sorry. Oh, you don't get any.
Just watch. Thank you.
Yeah, that's probably the best German-like wine made in France I've ever had.
Yeah, I feel like I've had Rieslings before and I haven't really liked them.
Yeah.
This is actually really good.
This is the first Riesling I've ever had that I've liked.
I don't like white wine.
You're drinking it like you do.
Yeah. I know. We're on a schedule timetable.
Do you not like it because your mom liked it?
No, I don't think so. They like reds. What is?
Yeah,
she drinks whites more than anybody, but I just find it too sweet. It's just too.
Yeah, it generally runs really sweet, but this actually.
You don't find this one as
it's actually pretty nicely balanced.
I could get really fucked up on this because this is very drinkable. Yeah, I know myself.
Yeah, I feel it like sits in the back of my throat or something a little bit more.
Yeah, it's a little syrupy.
And I mean, maybe it's because the last one was a lot more sour. This one's kind of dialing it off a little bit
compared to yeah.
I wonder if I had this one right after the Special Reserve, if I would like it as much.
Now you're thinking like a wine person, Clay. Look at you.
How would you guys can go around? So Clay, how would you rank these things for yourself so far? So we've had the three. We've had this Riesling, we've had the Bordeaux, and we've had the Pinot Noir, which is the Special Reserve bottle.
I think the Special Reserve is my favorite.
Yeah.
And this might actually be number 2.
Yeah.
I think I like this one more than the
actual wine. Oh, sorry. No, this is actually than the actual Chateau Picard wine.
Yeah, right. I think so. It might be depending on what order I drank them in or something, but
I'm sort of with you.
Yeah,
I might even swap this Riesling for first place.
Really?
I'm shocked. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
Because I picture wine.
How dare you shit on my free wine? I brought to this mixer.
I think for me, it's like this is nice. I don't know. I don't think I would order this because I just don't skew towards this kind of stuff generally.
Right.
But if someone brings it to my house and we're judging wines, I'll drink it.
Yeah, if you're forced to drink it.
The whites have that really grapey smell when your nose goes in. It really hits you as like a adult grape juice. Like I don't mean that dismissively, but you really smell grape when you go.
It's funny you bring that up because I actually was thinking about going to the wine store down the street and specifically trying to find the worst, cheapest bottle of wine that they have.
I didn't do a blind taste test.
Yeah, because my friends and I used to do bourbon tastings, and everybody would bring a cool bourbon, and I would always go to Cappy's and find like the shittiest, dustiest bottle of like name Cappy's brand Canadian mix 'em up whiskey that I could find, just because you want to have a control.
Right. You mix that in towards the end and see if everyone is either drunk or actually talking sense about what's going on.
It's funny you said grape juice for adults. That's literally what wine is.
Mm-hmm. It is, yeah. And it's
they sell it in boxes now.
The
small boxes.
Yeah,
like
little
juice boxes.
Those Boda boxes. For the money you're spending, those things, you get 4 bottles worth of wine in one box. And one box costs less than the average bottle of red wine.
That's amazing.
You get a ton. Like I used to, when our friend Tana brought box wine over, I just laughed in her face. Mm-hmm. And then I tried some and I had to quickly apologize because box wine has moved a lot further along since my mother used to drink it.
Mm.
Canned wine is where it's at now.
Yeah. Box technology has been kicked up a notch or two since then. No, it's I don't dislike that one. I wouldn't order it, I don't think. But yeah, my ranking so far would be the Special Reserve, then the Chateau Picard.
1, 2, 3.
And then the Riesling would be 3.
Do you want to finish the rest of that or dump it out?
Yeah.
If I was at a restaurant, I would probably order the Special Reserve. If they didn't have that, I would probably order the Chateau Picard. But if my girlfriend ordered the Riesling and said, "Do you want to finish this?" I wouldn't take a sip and go, "No." Let's put it that way.
Wow, that's a whole narrative about wine.
Yeah, well, I'm taking all of my variables into account.
You're using your background in storytelling to describe wine in ways that isn't using words like sophisticated, smoky, bitter, whatever. Yeah. I like it.
A better way of describing
A better,
it.
yeah. Some would say better.
See, from my podcasting experience, where I have this little plugin on the website that tells me everything you need to do to optimize your search engine optimization, you know? So I know that I have to say things like additionally and concurrently, and you have to add little connector sentences and then not talk for too long.
I thought it was just hijacking whatever the popular trend was on Twitter.
Basically, yeah. And just plugging in a lot of keywords like so if you didn't hear, Sean said it's the rosé. It's closest to the region of Le Bas. And this is where Picard came from. It is pink. Kind of has an orangey amber pink to it, I guess, unless that's the glass.
Yes. Called Aquarelle.
I don't like the smell of this.
No, the smell is strange.
Ooh, it smells like skunk.
It's fruity.
Oof.
Swirl around a little bit. Breathe through your teeth.
Jesus.
No, I don't care for this. It's too fruity.
Yep. This tastes like
it's like gum.
fucking rosé. This is what this tastes like.
Yeah, it's very...
Yeah.
Fuck
can
you,
smell
Mom!
You can smell it the whole way.
Maybe, you know who would like this? Caitlin, because she's a woman.
No,
right, Clay?
Caitlin would not like this. I can guarantee you she would not.
I'll give it to my
if
mother.
I had
She
to
won't know.
Yes.
I hope my mother doesn't listen to my podcast.
I think my girlfriend would probably prefer the first two, the Picard and the Special Reserve.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is unfortunately probably the weakest, which is not any of the ones that we got. It's the ones that Sean brought, but it's just overwhelmingly fruity.
It wasn't generously gifted to us by the people asking us to review it, so we can say it was terrible.
That's right, yeah. Just got this on the
It
store.
was generously gifted to us by Sean, so we can say it's terrible.
That would be my ranking. It would go Special Reserve, Chateau Picard,
the
Riesling, and then this rosé.
The distant fourth on this one.
Yeah, distant fourth.
Yeah.
Which I was going to ask which alien species would prefer which kind of wine here. But
well, none of them are viscous enough to be Cardassian.
It's tough because I was going to go for this one for the Klingons, but at the same time, it feels the most un-Klingon-y of them at the same time. But it's the harshest one.
Maybe the people on Risa maybe drink that.
That's true.
It's just too fruity and light, and
I would see them making spritzers out of the third one, the Riesling. I suppose you could actually see that too.
Yeah.
So you're saying the Klingons prefer like a nice blood wine or like a light rosé?
Right. If blood wine is unavailable, they will go for the rosé. I would go with Vulcans get the Special Reserve because it's the most even keeled out of all of them, I think.
Yeah, I think this is the most sophisticated one. Is that what you're saying?
I was going to say, I think the Vulcans would go for the Chateau Picard.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, my argument would be that one because it's the most flat of it. I like it because of how flat it is.
It's very drinkable,
Yeah.
Chateau
Picard is probably humans. I could go for that.
Right.
The Riesling, who would that be?
Are we going back into the Special Reserve now?
That would be like Ferengi or something. And then
I was
last one, whatever.
telling Wes earlier, I think I mentioned this before. There was a Star Trek, The Experience in Las Vegas for a while. Mm-hmm. Closed down maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah.
We went before it shut down. It was empty. And you had
that's a bummer.
Expensive stuff everywhere.
Was there lounge singing there? There was a lounge act?
There was character actors who you could not break. Like the bartender he looked like Quark. You would try to screw with him because he had things that he was allowed to say back to you, and he would not break. It was amazing. The waitress came over, and I tried
just a lot of drunk guys in Vegas.
I was
yelling
drunk.
at Star Trek
I'm
characters.
like, I'll take Janeway's salad, and I thought that was hilarious, and she did not. But she was Vulcan, so maybe she was laughing on the inside.
That's true.
Anyway, they had a gift store with T-shirts and stuff in there. No comics.
Picard has to come over and tell you, put a hand on you, and say he thinks you're hilarious. He just can't let it out.
They had this one drink called a warp drive, whatever, and it had dry ice in it, and it had like 6 straws. It was basically like
it's a steaming,
like a scorpion bowl.
Scorpion bowl, yeah, basically like that. But it had this really great metal iron thing that would sit in, and it looked like something the Klingons like. They did a good job on this thing. Yeah. And I imagine when they have the Vegas convention, I think the biggest one is in Vegas every year.
Yeah,
this place was mobbed, but other than that, it was just empty.
What was it? Where was the experience? Was it part of a hotel or was it like...
part of a hotel. I forget which one. They had 2 experiences. One was like a remember the Back to the Future ride at Universal Studios? You're sitting in the car and you're looking at a big screen. They had that. And then they had one where you're running through the hallways of the Enterprise running from the Borg.
Oh, cool.
So you got to actually walk through the actual bridge, get your photo taken on it, and then Borg would come in through one door, so they would all like usher you quickly through the side door.
Fun.
It was really cool. And they also had alcohol you could buy, which is why I'm telling this story. And they had a flight of beer that was like Romulan ale.
Right.
And it was just probably like Coors Light and Sam Adams colored purple or whatever. But yeah, that was kind of what I was expecting here. But I think this is actually above and beyond more than most stunt alcohol companies actually do.
Would you say it boldly goes beyond your expectations?
I would.
You can put that on advertising on the next batch.
I would, yeah.
I was thinking on the way over here, because we're about to finish DS9 and I have to start like preparing my mind for things to say about like what you talk about for a series as a whole as we've been covering for 2 years. And that got me thinking to Picard, and that got me thinking too how when TNG wrapped up, I was actually kind of shocked that I was unimpressed by Picard as a character. Like I was kind of let down by him. And I think it's a matter of he is not constructed to be super interesting. He's kind of Superman-ish in that he is good and there's not much you can really push him without changing the character or the tone of the show around it. So I was wondering, Patrick Stewart was saying something like he didn't want to come back if they were doing the same story. And he specifically, I think in an interview mentioned he didn't want to do anything with the Borg again. And I was thinking, the Borg are in the new series, it seems like. So they must have come up with some other twist on it. But I was wondering, Picard's defining trait, right, is being captured by the Borg. Like, that's the moment that everyone kind of picks as a Picard moment. And they played it off into, like, the most dramatic stuff of family and everything like that.
The line must be drawn here.
And they put it into the movies, obviously.
Yeah.
But is the... like, I know, Sean, you had done the comic about the Borg were part of it.
Yeah.
But did the Borg just stick out because that is Picard's defining thing? Or is there something else there? Like, I guess I was wondering whether or not the new series dealing with Picard and the Borg again, will I be like, good, there's a row to hoe here with like this stuff that we haven't talked about already? Or is it is it just his only moment that you can really do anything with?
Yeah, well, I think he's forever haunted by what happened. And I think the black mark in his career is that the battle, how he feels responsible for killing so many people and ships and whatever. Even though it's not his fault, he still feels like it's his fault. It's his cross to bear. So I think that there's a giant well worth exploring there with Picard, if you're going to do the Borg correctly. That's my caveat here. And as you watch, you haven't seen Voyager, but the Borg get lamer and lamer as you go on. And I think we basically agreed about that on the TNG podcast.
The more you see of them, the less they can start making sense.
It's just one of those things where it's like their conceit is so simple and clean that unless you just do the same thing every time, you have to do something new. Yeah. And as soon as you do something new, you're just kind of like, you're sort of breaking what makes it so good.
Yeah. Yep. You want to dump that wine? I can give you some of the good stuff if you want. I won't be offended if you chuck the rosé.
I'll finish this.
Okay.
And call it a day. I am. I wouldn't say I'm certainly feeling that I've drank a little bit of wine.
Oh, wow. You have 2 kids?
I do. I don't drink anymore.
Oh, okay.
I don't drink anymore.
Oh, okay.
Marijuana's legal here now, and it's like
nice.
You can smoke, wake up in the morning, and I'm fine.
Right.
There's like no lost time with what you're going, and also
that's fair.
It's easier to watch movies and stuff like that with than like alcohol. Kind of it just ruins my ability to like absorb a movie. Sort of like I'm sitting there and like I'm thinking about other things or whatever.
Yeah. You're talking about Picard. I read a novel about Picard once, and I forget which one it was, but it takes place after TNG, and his biggest regret was not using Hugh as a virus to destroy the Borg when he had the chance. Yeah. And Hugh and his ragtag group of rebellion Borgs, whatever, are in the book, and I think I don't remember how it ended. I don't even know if I finished it. But I had this idea for Picard's story, and I've been telling people for years, sort of getting, more humorous as the years went on. And it was like, what if Picard's retired and the fleet needs him back, but he doesn't want to do it, and he just steals a ship with a new crew and goes rogue. And he is going to stop the Borg once and for all. He's going to fix his mistake of not destroying them when he had the chance. Like, Earth is in trouble, all these planets. Like, it's clear that the best, everyone benefits. It sucks to kill a billion Borg people, but it sucks more if everyone else gets killed. Yep. So he does like a Hail Mary mission behind enemy lines, and he brings 7 of 9 with him. And along this trip, he has other encounters with, people who he used to work with. And this is like a suicide mission for him. Like, I wanted it to be a Picard dies story, but he gloriously dies with 7 of 9, like taking out the Borg once and for all. And I pitched that to IDW, who has the license for Borg comics, and they sent it to Paramount.
Is that specific? It's not just Star Trek. They have the rights to Borg.
They have the right to. Sorry, they have the right to Star Trek.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
right.
sorry.
Yeah.
And the editor didn't know. This was months and months and months ago, so we had no trailer, no Picard. The idea of a Picard show is taking off, and they knew they wanted to have something. But they sent it to Paramount, and Paramount said no one is allowed to do anything with the Borg.
Yeah.
So they were basically clearing the runway for Borg stuff. So when I see the trailers, I'm like, fuck, that's basically my idea. But I'm thrilled because it's like the follow-up that I've always wanted, basically. Yeah. I never thought about, going back to what you said, about Picard not being a great character. Maybe the reason I like him so much is because Patrick Stewart is such a great actor.
Yes, well, what makes him work so well, because he is fairly simple, but the thing that makes him not need to stand out as like the leader, or no, that's not the word I should use, but like the capital S star, is that TNG was such a he never made decisions on his own. It was always, let's have a ready room scene, and he's going to take in all of this information and all of these opinions from other people. So it was never like people throw something at him and then he, like they do on Discovery, where everybody gives Michael Burnham a suggestion and she says, no, I'm going to do it myself.
Yeah.
He was very much part of an ensemble in a way that he was actually a really good leader in that sense, where he's actually taking in suggestions from everyone and not just,
He doesn't know everything. He's just exceptionally good at making the right call about what to do.
Yeah, he's a very realistic type of leader.
I'm probably reading too much into this. I thought that he sort of already knew what he was going to do, but he would allow his crew to give him ideas. That way everyone felt included. Like, he knew that the way to deal with the Borg was probably going to be this way, but he wanted to just field ideas and make sure everyone else agreed with him, and then he would do it.
I think that's in a management handbook. It's like just make them think they're offering suggestions, even though you already know what exactly you're going to do.
How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah,
that's Picard's favorite book.
I mean, I don't think he's not a bad character in the same way that Superman isn't a bad character. It's just like he works fine in TNG's kind of ethos or whatever, but they even ran into problems, I think, when you get into the movies and you kind of like, well, what's the big dramatic arc that this guy's going to have? Right. And they go, Borg. And you go, really? Again? Like, is that all this guy did?
Okay, we've done the Borg. Now what? He gets younger?
His
clone.
aging is
clone, I guess?
I guess this is the first year Will Wheaton is now the age of Patrick Stewart when TNG started. They're 47.
Oh, wow.
Look totally different from each other.
That's fun.
But I just...
Jesus Christ.
That's my only concern about the Picard. It looks like it's not super Borg heavy because they haven't totally played up the Borg. And I think that if it was super Borg heavy, you'd be seeing Borg everywhere about it.
It almost feels like it's more data heavy.
Yeah.
Based on... it seems like there's some sort of maybe even cross with Data in the Borg or something. Because the amount that he's been in the trailers, plus they've been showing like...
Assuming androids are...
Yeah, androids that look like him, and I don't know. There might be some sort of thing.
I'm wondering how they're going to retcon Nemesis, because they're not doing away with Nemesis. They're going to sort of fix...
Data's still dead.
Yeah.
You have to assume.
Or if this is Data's, mentally ill brother or whatever.
I think it's all going to be dreams. And
I think it's dreams and stuff, because in the trailers, every time Data shows up, he's wearing different uniforms.
Yeah, no, that definitely looks that way.
Yeah, so that's what it seems like it's going to be. And it also, never mind. I'll be nice to Brent Spiner.
Not to say that I could see a modern Star Trek thing where Picard builds a new Data by the end of it almost, and then just blows him up again or something. But I think if what they're going off is his regrets and that like. If Picard is supposed to be a character who's like now filled with regrets and that he didn't do the right things a couple times, Data's death being one of them, the Borg being the other, and then however they tie in the Romulus explosion they're going to just make up he had something to do that he didn't do the right thing. It'll all just be. It's just got to be about coming to grips with the regrets that you have about your life as the arc of this season.
Right. I mean, if you think about the difference between Picard and Kirk is headstrong and very sure of himself. If he regrets decisions, he doesn't do it very often. Picard is the philosopher captain, and I think he's always second guessing things he even did correctly. He kind of has this like Catholic guilt about him. He's driven by that sort of thing, you know. And I think that lends itself to him, you know, addressing the Borg again and going back into his past and sort of trying to fix things that he did wrong. That's why he's different than but Kirk and Cisco and Janeway, you know.
Well, what's interesting is that when you and I were talking about that IDW story, the one thing I wanted to add, which you said no to, was I wanted Cisco to be sent out by Starfleet to try and bring back Rogue Picard,
Right.
because I think that would fit perfectly with what you're talking about. Because Wolf 359 killed Cisco's wife. That's obviously a sore spot for him. It makes the most sense that it would be Cisco that has to be sent out to go get him. Cisco's not going to bring him back alive if he doesn't have to.
I just hate Cisco.
I know you do.
I hate Avery Brooks. I think he's a terrible actor.
Are you up to date on DS9? I know you I don't know if you were following along, but you abandoned, I think.
I started at season 4 and watched all the way to the end. I never watched season 1 through 3 because I heard that it was a rough start, like any Star Trek series. It was a rough start. Just start when Worf shows up. Is what my friend told me.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good advice for DS9.
I think you could
you could watch the third season, I think, and be okay with it. But it's certainly the first two are not worth really watching.
Yeah, I think there's you could probably get a recommendation of half a season's worth of episodes to watch from seasons 1 through 3.
Okay,
and that will add
the Dominion
to the other
are
stuff.
introduced in that.
Yeah, and you get into what is it? Kira and the Cardassian duet.
Yep,
That's
duet's in the
first season. That's one of the best episodes of the series is in the first season. But
cool.
So it's one of those things where it's like any other Star Trek series. It's the first couple are just there's a couple good ones.
It's insane
but,
that they would make 40 episodes, 22 episodes of an expensive show,
26.
have it sucked. All right, 26, and then do it for 2 more seasons before it starts getting good.
That
is insane.
So
good shows don't go 50 episodes at this point anymore.
It is insane, but the difference is that cable back then was like what streaming is now. So once everybody had a cable channel and everybody had a what's the word?
A network?
No, what's the word that it was syndicated? Everybody had a syndicated channel.
They have hours to fill in the day.
They just needed content. And so there weren't as many as there are now, but that's why you would get shows like all the Star Trek shows or Highlander. Highlander went 7 seasons.
Always comes back to Highlander.
It always does, yeah. Highlander went 7 seasons, and there's maybe 2.5 seasons of good material on the Highlander show. It's not a great show.
That's what Red Letter Media made the point on the recent Comic-Con where they're like, all our superhero shows are being renewed. It's like season 7 of this show. You're like, there are 7. Like, what the hell is going on? Like, who is airing this? Who is watching it?
Arrow or whatever it was.
Yeah, I've even heard of Arrow. There were some that were entering their 7th season. And I'm like, I don't know what this is. I've never heard of the comic. I've never heard of this TV show. I don't know what's going on. Who's watching this?
Yeah, and they're just for every channel needs stuff now. So they're just you just need content,
right?
And so that's why
infomercials. They used to be like, no one's watching TV past 9 o'clock. Let's put
oh man, you know what? I bet that would do really well. A streaming channel that was just infomercials. I guarantee you, people would watch that.
It's a PBS thing.
When you see the trailer for Picard, what are you most excited about, and what are you worried about?
I'm worried about Kurtzman. Kurtzman broke the story with them. He's generally a weak link in these kind of things. He's not the showrunner of the series, but he was involved in the story. And he's a Berman role that has too much creative input, I think, in a lot of ways. And I think that he's problematic. Like he's the reason Discovery is what it is.
Right.
And if the show's like Discovery, I think it's going to be a problem. But I'm most looking forward to Chabon running it because Chabon's actually a good writer and his short treks are good and he seems to have an understanding. He wrote a really nice piece in the Times about how Star Trek relates to his father's death. I don't know if you saw that, but it was a nice article and it's just like, he seems to have an appreciation for the series in a way that means like it would be harder for him not to write something that's meaningful about it.
Has he written an episode of Discovery? I can't remember. No, just the
he hasn't
shorts.
been on. He's not on staff at Discovery.
Just the shorts.
Just the shorts.
Okay. I'm probably worried the most about how much action there seems to be in the trailer, and not that I'm against action, but it's making me think Star Trek Discovery, where it's lots of Starfleet guards doing kung fu and shit, and it's like ugh.
The Romulan samurai is or Vulcan or whatever he is. That guy, I'm like, I don't.
Yeah,
buy
whatever. Like I'm okay, I'm open to some of those things, but I'm hoping that stuff is at a minimum, and that Patrick Stewart's influence is strong enough that he's
influenced by age. You mean? Where he's like, guys, I'm 80. I don't need to be leaping from elevator shafts to elevator shafts.
Yeah. I kind of hoped he would do some of that stuff.
I like when he clearly just worked out a little bit for Insurrection. He's like, I'm gonna roll my sleeves up to this scene.
I have to look how much younger. Ooh. See, that interests me that you want him to do the action stuff, because that's not like
that's not
next generation Picard. That's more movie Picard.
So Picard, it does not do action except when he has to. He can quickly grab a foil and stab someone quickly. He can dodge a Tommy gun in the holodeck. Like when he needs to, he can. He's like a little angry lemur, very light on his feet. Sure. He's like a ballet guy who just like is good at prancing and just, when he needs to do it, he can.
Yeah.
Even Worf is like, I have no doubt that the captain will come away victorious. Like he is a warrior second and a philosopher first. So I don't want to see him have like a long battle scene where he's just kicking a whole lot of ass. I want to see him administer authority in a physical way in brief instances that an 80-year-old can handle. That's what I'm looking for.
It's not like
so like yelling at his grandson to change the channel on the TV.
Worst case I'm imagining is Irishman fight scenes.
Yeah.
I can only hope.
I still have an hour left in the series. Me and Amy have taken 4 nights to get to an hour left or like in this because it's just like it's an extremely long movie. Nothing against it, but the I think he made we can switch it to Irishman at this point, but like I think he made a mistake with this aging technology, because every time I'm looking at them, I'm just like, this is an 80-year-old man who's been made to look younger, because even when they're just walking together, like their body language is so old.
Young from the neck up.
Yeah,
neck down, he's an old man.
They didn't go all the way with it, because the way that Disney does it and the way the Marvel movies do it is they have a younger person play the part in addition to the actor you're trying to de-age.
Oh, that's
and then
smart,
they do a whole like face mapping thing. So
Right.
like Kurt Russell in Guardians of the Galaxy 2
Right.
is a younger person with the same build as
it's not
Kurt
actually
Russell.
him.
Yeah, well they did it like twice. If I my understanding is correct, they do it once with Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
Then they do it once with a younger person who's basically the plate for the shot.
Just try to do it as similarly
And so,
as possible.
yeah, and they do like a super close face computer thing on Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
So they're getting every movement of his face.
It is amazing.
It's unbelievable. The and man, what was the most recent movie? Was it shit? I don't know. There was I saw something recently where they used it and Terminator. Terminator Dark Fate is the best it's ever looked. I don't know what they did in that movie, but it's the best I've ever seen.
Yeah, who?
To Arnold and Linda Hamilton and
Wait, the beginning scene looked like Final Fantasy VII to me.
I thought it looked better than most of the other ones.
Hair was like the underwater hair wind effects.
Yeah.
It looks
tough,
like
Anyway, but
get off topic.
But yeah, they do Disney. The Marvel stuff is a more complicated process. This one, The Irishman, is basically like it's digital makeup.
Yeah.
And the thing that killed me was they didn't even like give him a jacket with like full shoulders or something. He still looks like an old man, like hunched over man.
Yeah.
I thought Joe Pesci's makeup is fantastic.
So we had a audio snafu, and we lost the last 10 minutes of this conversation, which is really unfortunate. But I think we got all the good stuff out of the way. Anyway, I wanted to say thank you to Spencer from Wines That Rock for sending out the samples. We really enjoyed it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed our uninformed takes on drinking wine. And I'll put a link down below to where you guys can purchase the Picard wine if you're so interested. So thanks again to Wines That Rock for providing the samples. We enjoyed it. We enjoyed drinking them. Hopefully you guys enjoyed listening. And we'll try to get the audio gremlins fixed out for the next thing, so that doesn't really happen. You guys only lost about 10 minutes, so it's not horrible, but it could always be better. There's always that time you don't back up your recordings is the time that they go. Thank you very much for listening, guys, and we'll see you later.